know the play won't work out, or if something's in the sky like a meteor ram or something to counter. And yeah, I'd agree with you. It's definitely been a shift up, and we've definitely seen changes in the ban phases already. So I can't imagine as that develops and as we switch through patches, what's going to change.
Line right now, Shib, right? If we saw the last teams, right, in the lower bracket, those were elimination games. So they're just going to be out of the tournament. That's your tournament life on the line. But right now, it's kind of a different, you know, sort of circumstance, Shib, where if you win right now, you qualify for Atlanta, and you're going to be in those grand finals.
Yeah, it's a whole nother level of pressure, right? It's a different kind of pressure, but it also, you can feel it. It's butterflies in your stomach. It's the same thing, but instead of, you know, having that more stress on your back, it's more so just the angst of wanting to be there and making it happen. But here we go, off rip now. Ultron drone going to be sitting here on energy up in the sky. Oh, that would have been an insane pull opportunity there. I like the idea of you using a rocket's jump for something like that. Not something I've seen a ton in this tournament, but big brain plays as energy finds one on Impuniti off the rip. Vision going to be on the sky here with Ultron. This is one of those maps, and as I say that, Vision falls from Rymazing, and Impuniti comes right back from the res on the BRB on Rocket now. Smash, as you can see in the bottom right on controller, that's Rymazing on the screen there, but Smash maybe doing a little camera switch up, but still going to press forward and hold on to this point. And at the moment, DARKZERO maintaining position, but Fly still holding one body on.
Yeah, DARKZERO really taking advantage of the fact that they had that Emma Frost in the fight. Energy trying to do everything he can to bring it back for FlyQuest after losing fast. He's going to come back on Magneto, but it's not enough. The pressure's too much from that Psylocke, from that Emma Frost. And right now, DARKZERO look well practiced. Their ban phase working out. And oh my goodness, aggressive play from Smash 2 on the back line, forcing out so many cooldowns and still getting eliminations with the help from the dive. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we talk about how Psy maybe not as prevalent in the meta. It still can do stuff like that, getting out incredibly quickly, farming it off the front line, going right into the back line. If they don't have an answer, if they're unwilling to use that answer in the moment, goodbye to the back line as we see 2 fall. And DARKZERO 24% on FlyQuest. We'll have 4 alts, 5 going to be on the side of DARKZERO, and excuse me, almost 6 here for Fly in this next fight. There will be the availability 6, but let's see what they do as immediately Sonic Seduction comes out now, walking forward from Madara. Does that find value? Does get Vest walking. Cooper going to pop out and just keep the team healthy with the dance floor here. Fate of both worlds walking them forward. Damage boost out. Madara trying to drop back. Rymazing now. Ooh, out of the sky. Energy with a nice shot from downtown. Gonna find one, but Rymazing right back in the fight with the BRB, which has happened again and turns the tides of the fight back their way. Will this land on Jeff? It does, but there is protection, and that is huge. 2 alts. Not finding a ton of value, just juking for days, and does get dropped there, but that's a lot of value from Karova.
Yeah, I mean, he bought time, right? That's he didn't have to maybe find those KOs, but did a good job staying alive through all of those one-shots, which we rarely see, Shib. But at the current moment, FlyQuest still have ultimate advantage. They're able to walk on DARKZERO. Here comes Smash on the backside, finds one. If he can find multiple here, or at least get them low enough, they're going to be down a lot of healing, Shib, and that keeps DARKZERO on the point.
Yeah, I mean, just obscene play here. Really smart play by Smash. Already 82% here for DARKZERO. And again, for those who maybe play the game on the controller, on the sticks, Smash showing up here for those who do, showcasing how strong you can be on the controller, despite whether you're on console or PC, and you can definitely make it happen. Zelos, though, going to find Madara in the sky. Early pick there for Fly, but at this point, they need a ton, as they did have to burn out that portal, too, to get back here. Again, holding on now, but 99% for DARKZERO early on here on map 1, game 1.
Yeah, I mean, they're going for the dive, trying to counter dive it now is FlyQuest, and they actually do so quite well. Everybody coming back to peel. They finally stave off DARKZERO, who stalled out this point, Shib, and we always talk about how strong it is to control the point, right? How committing ultimates just to hold on to the objective for a little bit is huge, right, for your team moving forward. Also, DARKZERO has just stalled off in these dives. They're sort of like long-term dives where they go in for the back line, they go in for the KO. They don't always find it. Sometimes they get traded, you know, but because of the Rocket BRB advantage, they're always back in the fight. Now FlyQuest have a lot of ultimates to work with, right? How do they want to commit in this fight? If they overcommit, that would bode well for DARKZERO. They're going to try to force out as many ults as they can out of FlyQuest here, and if you get a W on top of that, that'd be big.
Exactly. That's a great call out for those who are maybe climbing ladder. That is the huge advantage at this level of play. A missed ult or an opportunity wasted with an ultimate is enough to lose you the game. So right here, FlyQuest does have ult advantage, but DARKZERO just needs to win one fight. So every ult needs to be crucial as that lands onto Karova. Speaking of which, one goes down, trades with an ult. That's big value there for FlyQuest. Cooper brings out the dance floor. Energy goes up with the Kraken looking for one. Does find 2. Can they get those picks though? Out goes the boundary, and walking is energy. Energy towards the Psionic Seduction. SparkChief now, Beast of the Abyss on the back line, or the front line, excuse me, not going to be able to make much happen, but what is this tech? This is crazy to see there from the Venom. I've seen that a few times. Those who can hold on, but that was clean.
Yeah, it's insane. Just like running around the point. Venom, this is his point, right? And his map. But at the current moment, DARKZERO trying to hold on, trying to come back in this fight. I mean, FlyQuest building up that time bank at the current moment, Chip.
Yeah, again, Energy now saying sit down, Smash still gonna walk forward. Smash was showing up like crazy in this match. Energy trying to turn those tides around. Karova falls. Energy with a two-piece. Do I see three? All in the neutral here. Now at 94%, and this is what Fly does. Calm, cool, and collected. Portal still available for DARKZERO at the moment, but the staggers are really happening here as Madara falls now. If they get another at this point, it's gonna be dicey for DARKZERO, who have no ults to commit just yet.
Yeah, none at the current moment. They do have that res to bring back Madara, but Madara goes down again, and this has been brutal. FlyQuest have always kind of capitalized on these sort of Emma Frost bans and protects, or rather saves. Madara, this time around, has to even get up on Emma Frost because he went down earlier. Smash falls again to the peel of Energy, who's been popping the heck off.
Yeah, it seems like Energy has been studying Smash's plays here because Smash was really making that happen for the first three fights, and now consistently now Energy finding value again. That is going to get shut down. We talk about countering Jeff. Exhibit A, folks. Make it a two-piece. Why don't you? As Rymazing falls from Vision, keeping the pressure on. Cracking Impact looking for two. Energy is going to make that happen. Why don't you make it three as they take map one?
Man, Energy's so good. I mean, a couple things from that fight, Shib, on Celestial Vault, like you mentioned. I think at first we saw the Jeff, like the peel come through with the change up for DARKZERO, because at the current moment, they're giving all of the peel to Karova, and it's simply not enough to FlyQuest, who, you know, we talk about Vision, we talk about the whole lineup, but Energy, man, is so good at Bucky as well. There's so many good Bucky players in the tournament. Energy is definitely one of them.
And the tricky thing is, if you're going to run that Jeff, you want to have some sort of solution to help Jeff make big plays. We found some good eats there from the side of Karova, but you really don't have much besides Cap trying to reflect in that moment. Maybe Madara going to throw a shield there from Emma to protect you, but when you have Magneto, that bubble, it like really helps Jeff get success. Usually counters and all almost, you know, guaranteed if you're playing it smart. And every single time Jeff's gone under, Energy goes up, and it's been consistent. We've seen Vest popping up there a few times with the Meteor Red founds to counter that as well. Good play there. There's Karova find again. DARKZERO up early. Vest, though, going to find Smash evening those numbers. Cooper, who was up and healing by about 5,000 already, that's just what Luna does, is going to pop that Fate of Both Worlds. Energy out of Madara. Energy consistently getting picks. Another one of those in conversation for the best duelists in the game right now, at least in the Americas region. Meteor M goes up, and that's right in the mouth of a rocket. Velocity falls. Impuniti goes down. Rymazing falls, and Fly is looking like they'll take this first point.
Yeah, they take the point, and it's pretty cool to see too, Shib, that we're playing, you know, Energy on that Bucky instead of the Phoenix. You know, we've heard a lot of people talk about how good Phoenix is. They only had the Star-Lord ban against them, right? That was the change up that DARKZERO had in that ban phase. They're not even going for the Phoenix though, and that makes sense. Like we talked about stats wise, at least just in ranked. I mean, Energy is one of the best at this character on the opposite side, so they're trying to change it up, Shiv. They're going to go over to that Adam Warlock alongside the Bucky to try to take advantage of their matchup. But you know, right now it's going to be an interesting matchup in terms of one team has that Ultron and one has the Adam Warlock and a Jeff.
Yeah, that's kind of a tricky thing, right? That is the switch up here. Gonna get Ultron off, like you're saying. You know, we've seen off the screen here, right? Energy gonna find Velocity off rip, but this is, again, one of those compositions I think is tricky. It has worked in the past. It's one of those unique things that teams don't necessarily always practice against because it's two quote-unquote off strategists that can do unique things but aren't typically always play together. Vision gonna find Karova, though, again, countering that right up. Smash onto Zelos now as DARKZERO is trying to put the numbers back in their favor. 54% here for Fly, after losing 99% off rip, have had a consecutive 158% straight on the board. Rymazing with a huge res, though, as the whole team back at it, and they're walking in heavy now. Out goes the Psionica to find a few. Energy looking for a big pull here, and there is one. It's going to find the cap of the front line of Impuniti, but it does not get too much success. There will be another pull entered into the game here with Daredevil coming up in the next patch, and you can actually animation cancel that to force them towards you instead of meeting halfway, which is a cool little trick. Dropping back to point now. Vest still holding on, but that's the name of the game now for Fly. Stay here until you lose everything. Force as many ults as possible. It doesn't matter. Just make sure you get KO'd on point by as much time as possible.
Yeah, for sure. They're going to keep stalling it out, you know, up to 99 surely. I mean, they find velocities in the backside. I like how DARKZERO playing it now, though, right? Switching up the composition, getting that huge res from Rymazing into Madara, you know, just hero. Vest also pulls back. They want to still win this fight in the sky. Ultimate, aggressive, rising down.
And the pressure goes on. Energy gonna find Smash. Vision up in the air right now, keeping the pressure on once more. Karova trying to make a play, finds one, but again, Vest gonna counter that. Who comes back as Strange. Very aggro here on the portal. Whole team getting value again, and it's looking once more in Fly's favor. Can they shut this down? There's 7% on. The portal is likely going to come through here, as Rymazing was already up here with Strange. Yes, here it comes. But at this point, 99% to 27. They need one more fight, and it is over.
Yeah, I mean, this team is unrelenting. I don't even know how you beat them at this current moment because they are always in a fight, even when it feels like they're not. Into the sky, though, SparkChief gets taken down by Impuniti. FlyQuest, they're actually pushed off the point again. So DARKZERO, same thing for them. They're unrelenting at the current moment as they take that point back shift because of a good portal by Rymazing, like you mentioned, and then taking advantage of their momentum shift. FlyQuest also, you know, they're going to have to come back into that Emma Frost. DARKZERO could build up some of that point percentage, but it's always scary with Vision in the sky onto that Ultron. This team, I think they have a current composition that is super geared towards this sort of line of Energy and Vision. Vision being a hit scan player, kind of same thing for Energy, so it's a good patch for them in the current moment. DARKZERO have to kind of peel off this dive coming from SparkChief. They've done it before. Also, FlyQuest have double Stratus ultimates. DARKZERO only have their Luda Snow. I mean, Karova has his. They can play around it, but they lose Smash early.
And down goes Karova. Energy, exactly like you said, finding Smash is numbers up, and unfortunately Smash did have that cracking impact. Vest again gonna shut down Karova mid-alt, and that is a consistent theme here. Vest popping off with that. Rymazing finds one, but Vest right back to Madara. Out goes the eye. Does this one land? It does, and again, FlyQuest looking numbers up, holding on to the point, battling back, still maintaining this position. Very close to point now, trying to find another pick here on Rymazing. Cracking impact gonna make that happen. Vision onto Smash once more. Smash not going to be able to make that all happen once again. Very unfortunate as Energy takes out Impuniti. Make that a two-piece onto Karova, and that's a three-piece. Still holding this point. 99 to 99 now, though, folks. But now FlyQuest will be holding on to the point. OT ticking down. No portal available. The Staggerfest begins, and FlyQuest likely will take this one home.
Yeah, what a map from FlyQuest on the second round. I mean, that was such an interesting last fight because we see Madara maybe didn't even have to fall. Now, I'm not saying they would have won the fight because there was still double Stratus ults, right? You still had Invisible Boundary up. They had advantage because they lose Karova earlier as well. You're lacking that other Invisible Woman, for example, on the back line. But he was in damage boost while Madara went down. Like, they had time, and I don't know if he had Diamond Form still. He probably didn't, but like, he was in the middle of that dance floor. Karova was just on the damage boost for too long, and they lose Madara. But, you know, right? And reverse sweeps are very hard to do, especially since we haven't seen any yet in the playoffs. I mean, the top team always has been winning, so it's going to be really scary.
They're going to be heading to Atlanta, so it is just a tough one to go against here for DARKZERO, but they do have the talent. Let's see if they can make it happen here on attack, and we begin on the high side.
And it's funny too, because if we look at Visions, I mean, he's sort of like the prototype that came after the, you know, people like Rymazing. Like, he's in a similar boat of a really good Namor, really good hit scan player, and it's sort of taken the limelight away from Rymazing, who was that position, or in that position earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. It is, and Uriah is still that guy. You know what I mean? That's the thing about the talent in this level. There's so much of it, and it is very much a team game. And there's, you know, a billion cogs in this wheel, and it's all about making sure all those pieces are working. Because if one isn't working, it can impact everything else. So it's very difficult to judge. You know, as a viewing standpoint, just for those who are maybe in the chat and the audience watching, very difficult to judge performance based on stats. You really need to dive into the full match breakdown to see where things went wrong, instead of just kind of hardcore blaming folks for maybe seeing a misplay. So we're going to start off here as Vest is now going to press forward, driven right back into this corner. This is one of those things to take into ladder. If you're being pressed heavy, drop back into that building together and use that as a power position. Come back out when you have the ult like that. Smash going to find SparkChief coming back out before giving the point. That's all that matters. They don't care about the first 2 points. They just want to make sure they own before it gets into that push mode here. They just want to make sure they maintain this position. Energy going to find velocity, and the end song lands. That one does not get much value. Vision going to find Impuniti, and again, FlyQuest making big things happen. This is one of those Jeff maps that's a threat, and Karova is crawling around the back line.
Yeah, this is a fight that you would assume DARKZERO would win, but because of how FLYQUEST bunkered up, like you mentioned, Shib, that's a great call out. Like, Vest is one of the best peeling vanguards in the game, and you know, if you have duelists that are like Energy and you know, maybe even the backline that's as lethal as Cooper and Zelos, that's gonna happen. Upcoming fight though, DARKZERO at least have ults. FLYQUEST also just used a lot of theirs, so this is the opportunity for DARKZERO, but they need to not lose anybody here.
Dropping back now. Best holding on to the Meteor M. That will be used here. Will that be able to get value? There's that bubble to counteract, and that is what we're talking about. Essentially free counters and all. And whoa, not only getting one with a counter, we're going to find Vision out of the sky there. Madara with a two-piece now. As Energy goes down, Smash is going to pop up with the dance of the butterfly. Goodbye, Vest. And Zelos goes down to Rymazing. Everybody on the side of DARKZERO finding one, and they will get the first point.
A big thing I like to mention, Shib, and this is kind of a constant talking point that I brought up, and if it's annoying, let me know. But like, I feel like in every team, every team has an X factor, right? They have their best player for sure. Like they have their best players in Energy, in Visions, in DARKZERO, you know, has Smash and Rymazing. But the X factor for this team is really Madara. This guy, when he's playing well, this team wins, right? Madara needs to do that again. It's really hard. It's a lot to ask of your Magneto player. But when Madara pops off, this team does well. We'll see if we can do it again.
And that's going to be a nice... I do agree with you, actually. I do think that there are teams that play... I mean, most all teams play around a win condition, and that condition can very much change based on who gets to the banning phase, right? And that's something that we could get even deeper into in terms of conversation where others can excel. For example, maybe slept on in the conversation just from a Vanguard standpoint. Vest has been playing lights out on Vanguard, and SparkChief with a ton of success. We saw, you know, popping off yesterday, even things like Vinny over there on 100 Thieves. So just a lot of different Vanguard success stories, too, and the backline with these Ultron, with these triple strap plays need to be perfect. Coming in again, Cooper going to find Rymazing. Energy trying to take out Impuniti in the sky, who just barely gets away. Great shield there by Madara to keep the team healthy. Alt advantage going to be slightly here for DARKZERO on this retake fight, as the point is about halfway there to point 2.
A huge fight win from FLYQUEST there off of some nice plays from Energy. Now in this upcoming fight, they have the Meteor M ready to go for Rymazing yet again in the sky. SparkChief also has done so much with these Feasts of the Abyss. He's been a thorn on the side of DARKZERO. They have to set up Karova. Madara has to go big again.
And again, walking forward, DARKZERO, like we had said, 6 ults available. Rymazing committing with a rage right now. Going to keep the team healthy with the last bit there. Did drive a little bit of space. Doesn't find much value. Vest going to take Rymazing right out of the sky. Goodbye to the Ultron. Numbers now in the side of Fly, who do have similar ults, if not more. Vest finds Karova with a counter. No bubble available there. Not able to get there is Madara, unfortunately, for the side of DARKZERO now dropping back. SparkChief going to find Madara now. Very aggro there on the Venom, who is insanely prevalent at this level of play. Venom, a force to be reckoned with, who now will have anti-heal there on his alt in the next patch. So definitely a target for bans, if you ask me. Just an incredibly strong hero.
When you saw that last fight, Zelos won it for them. Force physics under Rymazing. They're not even using the Meteor M for the Ultron's Rage, and that's definitely boding well for them. In the sky, Vision still sitting with the Ultron's Rage to sustain as well, keeping his Vanguards healthy. DARKZERO try to walk up, but oh my god, Energy just shuts down velocities again. That removes the BRB advantage they had.
Yeah, and I mean, right off the rip there, you talked about Zelos, a great shield to play around from the backline, helping out Cooper, who was getting dove there by Impuniti, and that's why they keep that invis in here. Zelos is disgusting on invis, that force physics, the not only using the orb, but now the speed reduction in that ultimate. You can play aggro with that ult, and you make something happen. If anyone makes a dive play towards the backline, if you force out that ult, it is very difficult to get out of there, especially when you have force physics to pull them right back in. So again, a terrifying force to deal with. That's why you see a lot more of invis at this level of play. Just so much utility to that kid.
Absolutely. They actually started off too, but oh my goodness, in the middle of all of these fights, Energy just keeps finding KOs, and this needs they need to change something up now. And you know, I think it's now maybe time as well to blame the ban phase, right? DARKZERO has lost like 4 or 5 fights in a row. If they can get something together, sure, that'd be nice, but just going based off momentum, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't cap out the whole map. They have a very low percentage to win because FlyQuest have all of these ult shifts. They have every ult. They've been playing consistently with the Meteor M to counter Karova, and then in the sky, Vision's been dominating with those force physics from Zelos.
Yeah, again, not overcommitting ults. Again, going back to that conversation, playing, oh, and as I say that, 3 go out. SparkChief going to find 1. Energy going to get that reset on a Madara. They are committing heavy now. 3 ults available for DARKZERO. 15 seconds on, but the point is right here. Won't take long to make sure you get that OT. Again, got to touch the point with 3 seconds on as Madara finds Energy. Will they be able to play off this? They got to use this momentum. SparkChief going to walk them right back. Velocity going to drop back into the spawn here. Impuniti going to be jumping all over the place to stay up. Now, again, Zelos going to commit that invisible boundary. Vest holding on here with Vision. Trying to match Karova like you had mentioned, and great bubble there from Madara to keep Karova moving. Will they be able to counter? Not quite. 2 in there is going to be a huge play if they fall off, and Cooper goes down, but I believe Zelos holds on. It's a matter of getting back to that point together. Either way, DARKZERO with a good set of plays there and will have ultimate advantage in this next fight. Can they clutch up here? Point 2.
Yep, 2 mistakes there by FlyQuest. Energy going too aggressive. It was definitely an overzealous play for what he did, or zealous play, going aggressive with that Bucky'll outside of his team, and then his team also trying to clutch up without him. So that's how confident FlyQuest is right now, though, Shiv. They think they can win any fight, even down their engine of duelists in terms of energy. But can DARKZERO take advantage now? They finally do.
Yeah, that's a huge play there by Smash and Rymazing to follow up and use those ults before they come through the side of Fly. Commit while you can, and that's where ult tracking is very important. If you know you're up in ults, do it before they can heal that front line. Do it before the strategists get a big play or the duelists, and if you can make that happen quick enough, you get a free point, as we're seeing here, driven right back into the front. Zelos not going to be able to make that portal happen. Team's going to reset together.
Yep, good job by Impunity to realize the situation. Portal or block them out of the spawn. And you know what? I didn't account for the fact that FlyQuest, you know, could just throw like that. Like, we've seen them go too aggressive, be overly confident, and lose a second phase. So huge shout out to DARKZERO to take advantage of it, right? That's going to be big. If they can play consistent against DARKZERO or against FlyQuest, that's going to be massive, because when we talk about FlyQuest and how good of a team they've been, it's because of their consistency. It's because they don't make mistakes. But when they do that, when they send energy in and then try to ult in fights that are pretty much lost, that could definitely bode well for DARKZERO and lead to the demise of FlyQuest.
Yeah, I agree. Overconfidence is difficult to handle, because if you're feeling like you're going to make something happen as a team, you do overcommit an ult that you're down in numbers, or you know, you really don't combine an ult that should be played well together, or something along those lines. Any of those small mistakes are game losing, and you can't allow that to get in your head. Even if you know you're feeling confident as a team and things are looking up for you on the defense, things like this can happen where now they're walking to point 3, almost are at the staircase. Energy going to find Madara though and turn this back into FlyQuest's favor, and Madara comes right back into the fight though, holding on tight. Out goes the hold. Can Energy make something else happen? Kraken impact going to go up onto the jet. Bang, comes down. Karova might be, yeah, does find one on a Cooper there, but still going to fall from Energy. Either way, decent trade as it is the Luna. Ton of healing there. Energy trying to commit with the Kraken impact once more. Finds a ton. Can they get the reset? He does not get the reset, at least not yet.
No, I mean, he keeps diving so deep for velocities, and it's almost worth it, right? Because he's in there creating space, forcing out that Rocket Raccoon healing, and then, oh my goodness, Vest shuts down the rocket, sends him back to the dumpster diving maybe character that he definitely is. And at the current moment, FlyQuest look like they're going to hold on, and over time, DARKZERO tries to portal back.
Oh, what do you mean? Rocket's not a raccoon. Oh, and that is going to be a pushback out of the portal. And that is a hold. But either way, again, like you're saying, a little bit of a overzealous play there from the side of Fly that cost them a point. But now
insanely hot of a take to say that, okay, this team is not going to cap out the map if that happens, right? Like, you are being shoved. They're going to have to mix it up on their offense too. It looks like they're going to change it up, go off Bucky, go to Phoenix, maybe something that's a little bit more proactive with setting up plays.
Yeah, I do agree, and you can kind of see that in the different take here they have on that back line. It's, you know, you're using Rocket for the main line heals at the moment. You're going to go for plays here with Rymazing and Karova on that Ultron Jeff. It's really about making a dive attempt on that bunker's back line and hoping you get the pick, and then just kind of collapsing from there and making big plays happen. Defense starts Fly with some good maneuvering. Best is going to find Karova off the rip there, and that is a huge start here for FlyQuest now walking back towards DARKZERO. The res was a little bit too far away, not able to happen there for DARKZERO. And Karova's gonna have to walk back here as fast as possible to get back to these fights. The team is gonna drop back into this bunker zone that we talked about before, and they are still gonna make this happen at the moment, but that will get deleted instantly there on the off angle. Well done by SparkChief to find that res and shut that down. Vest again onto Smash. Vision onto Impuniti, and FlyQuest are already turning this in their favor.
Oof, brutal, brutal, brutal. I mean, like we saw Karova go towards the spawn of FlyQuest. He's just, you know, looking to set up his silly Jeff plays, but FlyQuest was having none of that. I mean, they just hunted him down with the whole squad. Vest finds that pick. You know, they did a good job peeling off, like living, right? Velocity lives on Rocket. They're going to switch things up, though. They're going to Invisible Woman. They're changing up their comp entirely to sort of match FlyQuest now. And I actually don't mind this. They also still get that Emma Frost alongside the Groot. And in the front-to-back style, this should do well. But we've seen SparkChief do well against this comp. And oh no, Energy finds the opening pick.
Yeah, that's a good start. Again, Energy doing what Energy does. Getting that early pick. Walking in now with the Rage of Ultron. Vision going to find Karova again onto Rymazing. Trying to make it a three-piece as Impuniti goes down from Vest. Still walking right at the door. And this is that momentum shift that we have talked about 100 times. DARKZERO needs to get out this door, get a pick, and turn things around. Because at this point, FlyQuest is going to hold them at this door. And the only way out may be a portal. But you don't want to have to do that here on this point before you even get a chance to fight.
Yeah, this team is damn good, man. Here comes the Meteor M with the Phoenix combination. Boom, connection onto Smash.
Yeah, gets traded right back with Impuniti, and that might be the change they needed. Vest falls, and there goes that shield in the front line. Can they walk out? Rymazing going to commit the Rage of Ultron. SparkChief going to hit to the skies here with Venom. Full HP, ready to dive on that back line with Feast of the Abyss. Will come out shortly. Waiting for the right timing, trying to make it both happen. Unfortunately, not able to get through the shield there from the Luna during that Fit of Both Worlds. So that was a good idea. Doesn't manage to work. Karova going to find Zelos. Rymazing onto Cooper. And now DARKZERO gets a few picks and are going to hold on in that fight. And that's what they needed to give themselves a chance here. 4 minutes on.
Yeah, they found themselves always constantly coming back to Peel, right? And the composition wasn't really boding well for that, right? They didn't have Invisible Woman, they had Rocket Raccoon, and they didn't have the Vanguards for it to help Madara. Now they switch it up. Now they also put that Groot back on the lobby, and they actually peel off that dive well. So a good job with this front-to-back style, and honestly, their comp looks pretty solid on this front-to-back gameplay against FlyQuest, who, if they string together a few fights, they would have a good shot on defense.
Yeah, I like this compositional change. Karova is also very good at Invisible Woman, and we are going to see that change. Impuniti got to find Cooper early on there. Could have been a product of the slow from the Invisible Boundary. Everybody dropping back as Rymazing finds SparkChief. Again, these trades are good for the side of DARKZERO, who are up in alts, but Vest will be available for alt next fight. You'll have Madara, Impuniti, Rymazing, and Smash for DARKZERO, though, who, again, they just need to play slow and make sure they don't overcommit. Keep this defense going and try to make sure you at least push it to OT so you have a better chance there on point 3 for the defense, or if not, shut it down here and keep making big plays with individual alts.
Energy trying to look for something right now at the moment. I mean, they got that combination with him and Vest again, but DARKZERO aware of that. Last time they dealt with it well. They've got ultimates to deal with it too in this upcoming fight. Maybe with Rymazing, maybe with some other players, but here comes that Sonic Seduction in the back line. And here comes the Meteor M combination, but they break the Unsung Inferno in the sky.
That was good focus there. Madara and Psionic does not manage to get anyone walking at the moment on the side of Fly. Cooper holding on to all Zelos as well. Dance floor is going to match, and they have good focus on Rymazing. Karova, Velocity, oh, they doubled up. Velocity, Karova, Smash, and Impuniti all committing alts. That is a tough look at the moment. We'll switch to damage boost, but that is one of those mistakes you cannot be making. Energy going to find Impuniti. They're going to walk now as those alts fall, and SparkChief with a 3-piece now is walking into point 2. But, oh, that is a tough look. There's that overcommitment we were talking about.
Yeah, and, you know, I don't want to flame controller players, but, you know, in that fight, Smash could have got eliminations if he could headshot. But because he's on a controller, because Amos targets the body, he literally couldn't find those final blows.
It's unfortunate right there. Up in the sky we go. Unsung Inferno comes in heavy. Vision. Zelos going to find 1 and 2. Keeping eyes on to Madara, who's using that portal as a wall. Very smart play there. Make sure you're doing that with those portals. Use them to cut LOS. Line of sight. Vision going to find Madara, though. And now, 3 minutes on to push this not very far. This is looking in FlyQuest's favor. Can DARKZERO shut this down?
I mean, not to harp on that a little bit too much, but, like, that is insane. I've never actually seen that before. Like, Smash is a great player. I didn't realize that was actually a huge limitation for controller players. Like, usually we'd see, like, a Bucky player headshot, you know, in the Groot training prison, and maybe you can get eliminations with some good target focus, maybe with the damage increase from headshots. But he literally couldn't, Chib. Like, he couldn't aim there. It was hard.
Yeah, I'm curious. I don't even think there's a ton of, when you're playing controller on PC, I'm not sure there's a ton of aim assist even in the first place. But I mean, either way, it is tough to, it's tough to get, the sticks up there and onto the domes and
they don't touch
him walk in.
Oh my goodness. What a round.
Yeah, I can't believe that. That's tough. That's just a sign of mental crumbling right there, unfortunately. Just everybody looking at Venom, the conversation of who's on point, maybe slipping through, and walking right through the point there is a tough look.
It was always going to be hard too, because if we look at the third phase, like I think the cart didn't make it past like that choke under the bridge.
Yeah, it was very difficult. Either way,
it never favors the defense, and that defense, and that goes back to FlyQuest's defense. Like the only time we saw them lose was a mental lapse in their case, Shib. Like they only lost a fight because energy went towards the spawn door, and for FlyQuest, making sure that DARKZERO cannot play that hero to make sure they can't, make sure to play the triple, right, in touch quickly. But yes,
this is going to be, again, very much odds are going to be a triple comp for the hold. SparkChief going to be on the Thor. The Thor mains are rejoicing as the hammer is out and ready to bonk the domes of DARKZERO. Here we go again on the defense.
Yeah, you're right, bonk. In the moment, SparkChief has been that sort of guy that keeps playing the Thor in these triple compositions. It makes sense. I mean, we heard Kalush talk about it. He does so much damage, Thor does. And definitely is an underrated hero for sure.
Yeah, there's a tackle off rip here on the Spark, who does get thrown right back onto the high side. Now, Vest just maintaining point. You talked about anchoring, and Emma does a great job of that around these points. Just play around the point, and you can be a threat to anyone who tries to overextend and press you a bit when you have that grab up and ready to just punt them into the wall. Zelos with a pick there on Impuniti, and use Force Physics to keep him right on top of that circle smash. Going to be taking out SparkChief, though, who is going to be on that Bucky on the side of DARKZERO, finding one to trade it evenly. SparkChief going to have to come back there on the Thor, unfortunately. Thor main's not loving to see that early pick. Madara going to find Vest, though, and now Numbers back on the side of DARKZERO, who honestly are walking at this point and owning this pressure with those Groot walls.
Yeah, I mean, their biggest thing is the Groot walls, like you said, and then also they're just relying on outward pressure, and boom, there it is, energy falls. FlyQuest maybe relying a little bit more on the Force Physics from Zelos and stuff. In this case, it doesn't work out until Cooper copies Adam Warlock, rises everybody back, and also look at Visions, who just dies or goes down there, but he still has the cocoon and gets brought back by Cooper's res, so he can go for his resurrection wherever he wants.
Yeah, out goes the Sonic Seduction, and Rymazing coming here with Punisher, who does a good job against Triple Get. No, as Energy finds a two-piece there. Zelos onto Impuniti, and we keep seeing these duelists jump on a Magneto and hit huge ults. That was a massive play there by Energy to find two.
Yeah, this series, I think, is securing Energy's position as a top duelist, if not the best duelist in North America. We talk about Speedery, how good he is and how good he was on Magneto. Energy's doing the exact same things that we saw out of Speedery at the current moment.
Yeah, it's tough to run Punisher into a strong Magneto that can keep in. You can see alt pace, right? Both at 37, 42, trying to stay on pace the whole time, ready to counter that Punisher alt every time Final Judgment gets dunked on. SparkChief comes finds Rymazing, and oh man, cannot catch a break. Vision onto Velocity. FlyQuest with any comp are just looking clean right now. DARKZERO got to keep this moving forward, but now again, there's a guaranteed Meteor M to stop that Final Judgment from Rymazing. Just to, the problem again is you want that bubble there to have some sort of solution or a shield, but there's no real duelist to help, or Vanguard to help from DARKZERO.
And Energy just ate that ult. He just ate the Impunity ult right there on the main side. So rest in peace, that Groot ultimate. And look whose ults are up now. Cooper also with the res, knowing his team goes down, reses them back. This is the second time he's been able to do that, by the way. Smash now gets the resets, though. We've seen Bucky's go huge, but how many eliminations he's going to have to get back to back to back to back, Shib? He's going to have to go harder than Terra ever has.
And 1-2 goes down. He's going to have to drop back to the team as Meteor M goes up and still finds Smash. And that was crazy prediction right there, understanding when that was going to come out. But now you will not have an answer here for the Final Judgment coming out for Rymazing, who's very low in HP at the moment on the back line, waiting to be healed up. Karova going to have to drop back, but SparkChief going to find that pick as well. And again, some big Thor play here by Spark, who's playing hyper aggro here with the bubble. Going to look for more on the back line. Vest finds Velocity now, and wow. FlyQuest again on this hold. 30 seconds on. DARKZERO's got to step it up here and make a big play. But again, two ults up here for FlyQuest. Vision is holding on and ready for another Karmic Revival, bringing everyone back in the fight if anyone goes down here.
Yeah, Cooper's close to another one. And it's funny because, yeah, Vision is the Adam Warlock player, and he hasn't even been able to use the Karmic Revival because Cooper's building his ult so fast. This is the third one he's going to build, the copy, that is. But we might as well just assume the Loki is the Adam Warlock. 1-to-1. SparkChief in the sky, too. Comes down with the hammer.
Yeah, and that bubble does come through as Impuniti makes that change there. Cooper going to find Madara. Vest on a Rymazing. Vest on a Karova. Vision on a Velocity. And that is now in the danger zone. OT ticking down. Will DARKZERO be able to get there? Rymazing is now going to be on the Spider. Just touch point. Holding on for as long as possible. Juking around the point, but not for long. And they will be held just meters outside of the spawn door.
Ooh, I mean, this team looks so good, FlyQuest does right now. I mean, it's a good, I mean, this front to back style, even though, you know, they're doing it with triple strategist a lot of the times for FlyQuest.
Rymazing to move forward there on the Punisher, you know, forced to switch over to the Magneto to get bubble just to try to hold on a little bit on the point. I mean, they looked just dominant, and FlyQuest is looking like the chances of going to Atlanta are pretty much through the roof. But DARKZERO does have what it takes in terms of skill. Can they make it happen now? As already, you got to think they're working their way to already a fourth of the way in terms of distance they need to get.
And the tough part is for FlyQuest, I mean, or at least for DARKZERO, they're going to be against so much damage. We actually saw comps like this work out for Rad earlier, where they had sort of like a, you know, hardcore Moon Knight compositions, and FlyQuest are one of the better teams at playing this slow front to back style. We'll see if DARKZERO can handle it.
Yeah, and this is more traditional in terms of how to go against the triple. We talked about this yesterday, where you do have that damage boost with somebody that's strong on Moon Knight. Energy again, talking about a hero Ocean, now is on the Moon Knight making big plays. Vision gonna find a two-piece there. Energy walking forward like a vanguard owning the space, and at this point, it's likely ticking down. I don't think the portal could come through. FlyQuest lights out here in this series 3-0.
And that qualifies them for Atlanta. FlyQuest get over the curse of stage 1, make it into stage 2, and, you know, passes with flying colors across the board. It's funny how Moon Knight mains, I think a lot of them, you know, compete for speed running, you know, world record. Maybe Energy in that case, it was below 30 seconds. I didn't get the exact number, but he built that thing up so fast. And I know people keep clipping that, right? It's always like, oh my God, this Moon Knight built so quickly, right? But that's that's what the character does, right? So that's the entire point, and Energy does it pretty well. Whole squad played well today's shift. Not much to say about it besides FlyQuest are going to land. And if they, you know what, the meta could change, right? That could change up the dynamic of things, but at the current moment, they look like the best team in North America, and, you know, they're going to have a chance to prove it at Atlanta.
Yeah, I'd have